What's going on, guys? Give us just a minute here. We'll get started up very, very shortly. Let people get on in here. We'll bring Bran up to co-host. Then we shall get started here in just a little bit.
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, we got you, man. How are you?
Good. Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
We'll just let some people jump on in here. Then we'll kind of go over some different things that might have happened since Monday. Maybe even leak some information about the vaults. I guess we shall see. Once people get on in here, we'll get started up in just a couple minutes. So spread the word. Let's get this out there. If you guys do have any questions during it, simply request to speak during the Twitter Spaces AMA, or you could post a comment under this link here, and we'll answer them live for you.
Okay, I've just got that in the Telegram group. Everything's going live.
Hey guys, as we're kind of just waiting for some people to pile in here, please do me a favor, like, retweet, do whatever you need to do to get this information out in the world. Let's get some people in here so we can go over the latest and greatest with a good part of our community instead of just a couple of the loyals. We need some new people in these AMAs. Give them some information, give them some alpha, let them get to learn about what's happening here so that maybe they can join us with the rest of you. What up, Sally? What up, fam?
So first of all, before we get started, we'll have a little bit of a section where we talk about the overall crypto market. So as you guys may know, we were talking about possibly doing a podcast. I think a lot of people were really interested to, understand the crypto market better and see the vision how Shib and myself see the crypto market, and when Shib decides to pull the trigger on some trades. So we are going to look possibly into hosting a sort of podcast. We have nothing against that. We think it might be a really, really good, interesting thing to add. We have built out a blog. Obviously, this is just a little bit of alpha before we actually start the AMA. We have built out the blog. We're just waiting for Adam to finish the touch-ups so we can get that live on the website to help with SEO as such. Before you guys ask, yes, there may be a little bit of alpha in today's AMA. We have been working closely with one project in particular. We're waiting for a mutual announcement. However, we made, there's a couple of people in here, so a bit of early alpha. I'll see if Shib wants to drop that. And we'll obviously go with an update for all the vaults and X shares, which is coming along really well. So all rest assured, before we get started, there is no outstanding problems that we're aware of. Everything seems to be going as planned. Obviously, with developers, it's one of them ones, right? We can only bank on so much when we're waiting on development teams. But Shib, if you want to take away the AMA.
Yes, we'll formally start this up here. So I just want to say, first of all, welcome PTX fam to our Twitter Spaces Friday weekly AMAs here with you guys, and of course our co-host Bran as we work through what's happened during the week, right? So this is another opportunity for us to reach out to the community directly to go over some things that have been happening, of course, and also what will be happening into the future. So like Bran was kind of mentioning there before we started going up officially, is we have had some pretty good progress on a variety of different things. Our XShare portal's already in the testnet phase. So we've been trying to, work through that, try to get all the bugs worked out before they're going to go live. As far as I'm aware, we are still on pace for November 1st. I know that's only a few days away, so hopefully that is still going to be as planned. And then the vaults. It looks like the vaults are very, very, very close to being done. Contracts are done, of course. The routers, the splitters, all those are already completed and potentially even deployed. We're just kind of working on the front end side of that to make sure that that is all functional and as it needs to be. Kind of the biggest things that are happening currently. We're also working on, and we will announce a partnership here probably today at some point with another project out there that's going into a pre-sale coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So they're not quite live just yet. So there could be some good information to come out on that a little bit later today. They're a good project. They work, we've had now 2 calls with them, kind of like their vision, and they can be quite a bolster to the PUSD side for us. And they approached us for some stuff that we'll go into, I'm sure, once we announce the partnership officially. So there is quite a bit going on there. Maybe even another potential partner. We have another meeting a little right after this AMA actually to go into all of that. So, those are kind of the biggest points. Now, how much do I want to release on the vaults? I don't really know just yet, but I've already given you guys that information. At the lowest tier will be a 0.5% daily, and at the highest tier will be that 1.77% daily. Of course, that's PTX, and then the long term there is to start growing a pool where we can include PUSD benefits to those different locked vaults as well. And obviously, the longer you lock your vault, the higher percentage of that PUSD pool that you would get, just like with the X shares. Very, very similar philosophy. If you have a higher tier, you get a higher proportional rate of that pool, right? So those things they'll probably be a couple months if I'm being realistic there. Obviously, depending on how the markets go, I need to try to work up a little bit of extra backing funds so that we can really push that alongside. But that really wasn't an initial plan when we went live with a protocol. So we got to work into that, make sure that's clean and smooth as we start maneuvering towards the future and get a little bit off the high inflation area, more towards the real passive income kind of models that many of us really want, especially during bull markets. And then, of course, you also have tokens, during bear markets. And when you have tokens and we hit another bull market, then those tokens increase in value. So we're trying to create a situation that is incentivized for the short term, the midterm, and the long term, of course, via some stuff that isn't quite out there in the space just yet. So I'll say those are kind of the overviews. Anything on your mind, Brandon, before I start kind of digging into if I want to start releasing information in the vaults, or if you want to?
Of course. Yeah, no, for sure. So everything's underway at this current time. Everything's sort of in testnet ready. One thing that we've always said is that we don't really want to rush things. I know there's a difference between rushing and taking your sweet time. However, everything that's been laid out is strategically being launched. I understand about the price action. Don't get me wrong on that front. However, we are sort of starting to pick up steam in regards to everything. So we finally, we put off for BSC scan verification for the contracts and everything last night. Everything's going smoothly in that sense. And now we're currently going to work on partnerships. One big partnership we're going to look at, and we're currently exploring with a couple of protocols, is launching on their decks. Now, there is a couple. One potential one is one of the partnerships we already have. That's a partnership where we're going to be based around. I'm not going to spoil everything. We're going to have some partnerships with protocol which we could have further down the line, i.e. with a DEX. However, we don't want to put all our eggs in one basket, and we want to see some other potential DEXs that we can list on, and have mutual farms and staking pools with. And there is a couple and building up with. So at this current time, we have got some partnerships coming about. However, we can't release them all at this current time. But Shib, if you want to go ahead and share any official news or anything that you want to do.
Yeah. So first, I just want to kind of go into that a little bit. So as you guys may have already known, I'm kind of the skeptic on listing on dexes that are not mainstream, right? So consider me that same voice that's going to be among the community that says, well, why? Why are we doing it with these people? Blah, blah, blah. If we do happen to do that in the future, it is because it literally makes sense to do it for whatever reason, especially if we don't have to be fixed in there forever, right? So if we can use it to our advantage, then maybe I'll consider it. Even the partners that we formalized yesterday that we haven't announced just yet, they asked us. I told them, hey, let me think about it. Don't really know. And they said, that's cool. We don't really need it for the partnership. It's just if you wanted to. And I kind of like that conversation. So the other partner, that potential partner that Brand was talking about, is a little bit bigger, a little bit more established. Um, the theory is, do we believe in the things that they say are going to be live in 12 months? And if that is a yes, then it would make a lot of sense. And that's kind of what our call with them is going to be after this. If it makes sense, then great. If it doesn't feel right, then I don't think we'll move forward with it. Of course, I don't feel like I'm pressured or Brand's pressured or we're not pressured to do anything. So that's a good place to be in. If it makes sense for us, then we will certainly look into it there. So I just want to get that kind of out of the way before I start going into, let's see, is there enough of you in here to get me a little hyped? I think so. There's quite a bit of you in this space now. So let's think a little bit about, oh, wait a second. Let me make sure. Looking at old data here. I got to go find the correct data for the vaults. So as I'm doing that, I'll just kind of filibuster a little bit, but I might go into a little bit of the different vault levels, right? So there's going to be, I believe it's 5 tiers. Again, let me go make sure I could find this stuff here. We've had, unfortunately, so many discussions in so many different places. So give me 1 second. Unless, Brand, you have a quicker way to post it, and then you could just tag me in it real quick.
I'm having a look for it now. I believe it's
Yeah,
the
we're
last
digging.
big
I
one.
usually try to pin these things, but I have an old one pinned. So I'll kind of just filibuster a little bit here. But there's going to be several different tiers, right? And they're going to incentivize each level of investor that's out there. And even the highest tier, the 12-month lock, that'll get you the highest daily return.
Okay, so I believe I have the official ones here, Shib. You said the ones that I'm okay with, and I think that was the ones we finalized on. Yes, only issue is we didn't pin it, which is annoying. So do you want me to tag you, Shib?
Yeah, link me in that there. Cool. I'm gonna pin this real quick while we're at it, just so I don't lose it. So we're gonna go over a little bit of alpha here today for everyone who's curious, right? But I do want to preface this with, instead of the shock value, we're gonna say, hey, even on that 12-month lock, if you do decide to do that, it does have the highest early withdrawal fee, right? And it is pinned. So anyway, so that being said, in less than 1 month's time, or actually approximately, I think it's 32 days time, you have actually exceeded that withdrawal fee penalty. So anything after that, 32 days or whatever it might be, you are basically just compounding without worries of that withdrawal fee, right? So your real risk in your head is Protocol X going to be around in a month? Well, if you don't believe that, I don't think you should be investing in the protocol, to be perfectly honest, because that's kind of, is contrary to everything that we've been preaching for months on end now. So if you do believe in that, you want to get the highest returns potentially possible for the PTX token, then there is going to be a 12-month option. But we're not going to force you. We have a 1 month, a 1 week, a 1 month, a 3 month, a 6 month, and a 12-month option, all for these different vaults. It's going to be up to you to choose how you want to do that. The reason that we are doing it in the way that we're doing it is to reduce emissions over time. So if we do this today, in 12 months, it's going to be exponentially lower in token in circulating supply than we would if we just let it go as we were doing, right? And if we're going to continue to go into a bearish market, maybe at the end of this, I'll go a little bit into the economic forecast that I kind of foresee in a sense. Then we can start to understand why that might be pretty important. But the 1 week, it's going to be a 0.5% daily return in PTX. So these are PTX tokens. I'll also say again, we do intend on incorporating PUSD into those returns over time, but that will not be live the moment that these vaults go live. It's going to take us a little bit of time to build up that reserve so we can actually ensure that we can pay out the rewards for that mechanic, right? So preface, all disclosures out there. 1 week is a 0.5% daily PTX return. The 1 month is a 0.8% daily PTX return. The 3 month lock is a 1% PTX return per day. These are all per day returns. And the 6 month is 1.35% daily PTX returns. And the 12 month is at 1.77% daily PTX returns. Now, each level, the 1 week to the 12 month, the lower that 1 week or lower that lock is, the less of the early withdrawal fee. This is to help reduce that risk element for the consumers, for those who want to actually participate in the vaults. Because if you're not fully sure, you can still lock for 1 week or 1 month, and you can take it out without a significant penalty, right? So for the 1 week, it's 5% early withdrawal fee. 1 month is a 10% early withdrawal fee, 3-month 15%, 6-month 25%, and the 12-month is a 50% early withdrawal fee. Now, like I said before, after about that 32-day mark, that even that 12-month 50% early withdrawal fee is negated. So keep that kind of stuff in mind there. We're not doing it to try to trap anybody or trick anybody or force anybody to get into the 12 months. I actually foresee most people doing the 1, 3, and 6 month, just because that's what I would probably kind of look at as an outside investor. But there are definitely going to be people that say, hey, I don't plan on selling anyway. Let's just drop it in for the 12-month lock and see what happens. And that is totally acceptable. I don't want to limit that from not being an option for everybody involved there. So those are the kind of the alpha on the vault here that has not yet been released to the public. So all that information here hasn't even been put into a formal document presented to the community just yet. That's just for here in this Twitter spaces that we'll get out there as we start moving forward with these different elements. So again, if anybody does have any questions on these, of course, simply request to speak here on the AMA or post a comment and we will answer them for you. But yeah, that's some good hard information that we have not yet released. So hopefully you guys, can take in that alpha and think
Yeah.
about it before we go live.
Another piece as well to add, there will be a PTX farming pool. We're just currently finalizing the details on that, but that will be coming as well. So there will be ways to provide liquidity, so we can bolster our liquidity a bit better as well. So we can look out for that, and that will have to be done with PTX, regular PTX, because obviously that is what the pairing for the liquidity pool is, right? So instead of enhancing your PTX, you can also provide it as a liquidity. So a good thing there is that will be a way for people to bolster, and that will be a set emissions. So it won't be crazy APR, but it'll be a good amount of APR. So it will incentivize people to provide their tokens. I just had a DM saying, what's the point of a 12-month lock if you can withdraw in 1 month? No, that's not what we're saying. So after the 12-month period, the 50% will be negated. Now, if you do want to lock for the 1 month period, the reason why 50% is so good is because 1.77% after a month or so is roughly double your token. So after about 40 days, you've doubled your tokens. Now, if you need to sell in an emergency, yes, you'll lose half. But even if you've been in there for 40 days, you're not actually going to lose any tokens. The only thing you're going to lose is the rewards. So you're not going to be penalized massively, right? So if you decide to go in a 12-month vault and say in 60 days time, you're like, look, I need to pull out. I can't stay in this 12-month vault anymore. Yes, you'll be taxed 50%. However, you would have earned so much in that pool that you wouldn't even lose your initial. So it's a way of going, hey, these 12-month pool options are there. Yes, the tax is higher for these pools, but the only reason why these pools taxes have to be high is because if we put, say, a 10% tax on the vaults, right, people will just rebase for a month, withdraw it, and then pay the 10% tax. It wouldn't have any longevity offers for the project. People would just manipulate the pool. So we have to have a higher tax in there. But don't forget, because of the high percent, after a month or so, about 50 days, if you do early withdrawal, you're not going to lose anything. You just lose the tokens you earned. And the best thing about the pools, right, is you don't have to put your entire balance. I think one thing people really forget about is you don't not just need to ape your whole bag into a 12-month pool, right? You can put 10% into a 12-month pool and then put the rest in a 1 week pool, or even a little bit in the 1 month pool, right? You don't need to just entirely put your whole bag in a 12-month pool. If you're sitting there and you say, okay, I've got 10,000 PTX, I want to put 1,000 in the 12-month pool because why not? I earn some of them rebases, so I'm going to put them in the pool, and then I'm going to put the rest for a month. The reason why we're lowering the APR so much as well is because I want to explain one thing, right? It doesn't matter how high the APR is on a daily basis if the inflation is catching up too soon. It doesn't matter how much of a bullish train a project rides. For example, right? So if we'll use whatever, another rebase project as an example. If we pumped all the way to $1, right? So we're currently sitting at around 2 cents. If we pumped all the way to $1, that's fine. But what a lot of people don't realize is because the liquidity pool didn't have time to build, and because there is a higher circulating supply, you're not the 1.77% means nothing if you can't cash it out. So lowering the emissions, introducing X shares where when you eventually have to upgrade them. So just to clarify on that as well, when X shares first are released, you won't be able to upgrade them instantly. So on the initial launch, the Passage Wandering NFTs will be distributed. The legendary, anyone that's currently secure the legendary, that will be distributed, and then the commons will go live. We haven't decided on the threshold yet. We're going to currently wait and see how they go. But once the commons hit a certain threshold, that's when we'll unlock X keys and allow you to burn your PTX to upgrade your NFTs. Now, why is this bullish? Well, for a lot of you, you've all been sitting there for however many months now, almost 2 months, rebasing at 1.77%, right? So now you've accumulated a lot of tokens anyway. So for you guys, we can look at you as sort of the seed investors, right? You've had that massive APR, you've earned them tokens. Now tokens are going to be harder to get if you're not willing to take the risk. A lot of people who are willing to take the risk, in 12 months, whatever the project may be, that is down to them. Let's be real. I don't particularly think a lot of people will take a massive 12-month risk. And if they do, a lot of people will end up withdrawing early. But the good thing about that is anyone that withdraws early burns the tokens completely. So if a whale does get impatient, they put, 100,000 tokens in the 12-month pool. They pull it out because they need to emergency sell. 50% of that gets burned. So automatically, what we're looking to do here is say, you can see it with other projects. Say, I'll use an example, Orbital Swap, right? You can look on their vaults. It says X amount of tokens locked for an X amount of average period. That's sort of what we want. If we can get a portion that says 25% of the supply locked for 47 weeks or something like that, what that does, it encourages users to say, look, the whales are locking because they believe long term. Without these locks in place and potential, see, the locks, they're not necessary, right? If you want to earn that base percent, you can. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no point in earning 1.77% a day if it's not sustainable. So if you do just want to earn that base amount, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to lock anything. But what will happen on these high end vaults, so in 6 months, 12 months, and possibly 3 month vaults, once we do release PUSD rewards, the people that have earned them tokens over time are going to have a larger weight of that pool. So once the PUSD rewards do come out, they are going to have a higher percent of that pool because they've been earning a higher APR and going to get a higher amount of PUSD distributed to them. So of course, a 12-month lock in any project is a riskier pool. But what we're looking to do is introduce PUSD rewards for the 6-month and 12-month pools, which won't be instant. And I'll explain why not instant. I know Shib touched base on it. If we sat here today and promised everyone will earn PUSD rewards before the token's even live, before we've even got investment funds from X shares, we would be lying to you. And we are not willing to jeopardize the entirety of the project. This project means a lot to all of us. It doesn't matter about getting rich quick. It's nothing like that. We want to build this long term. If we sit here and promise you X amount of PUSD rewards straight off the bat, this project will go to zero. And I'm not afraid to say that because let's be realistic. Any project that offers a set BUSD or PUSD or whatever stable coin return always ends up going to zero. Now we need to get to the point of logistics where we can say we have enough assets to cover that pool for X amount of time for the average lock period comfortably. So anyone in that pool will earn X amount of tokens. And even if PTX does go to zero, which we're not saying it will, then people that locked, say, $5,000 of PTX can still, by the end of the year, get that back in PUSD. Now, that's the sort of stability we want, and that's why we are introducing the vaults. You have to think about these sort of things long term, right? We can sit there and say, guys, PUSD rewards, lock your token for 12 months, everyone's going to earn 1% a day. Okay, now SHIB has a bad trading day, we can't pay out for 1 day. What happens? The entire Discord, the entire Telegram, the entire token goes in disarray. Whales panic sell, token goes to zero. There's no more liquidity, project is dead. But if we take time to build up them assets and build up pools, which we can dedicate funds to without actually a way to put this in very simple terms, a lot of these projects gamble the fact that they're going to make money. They gamble the fact that, okay, we have X amount of money, say $100,000. We need to pay out $200,000 for this pool for the next however months. Now we need to turn that 100,000 to 200,000. But if that doesn't happen, everyone suffers. What we want to do is say, okay, we have 200,000 now. This pool only needs 100,000. Now we can activate PUSD rewards. That's what we want to do. We don't want to offer anything guaranteed because it's impossible to offer a guarantee return. And we also want to make sure that we have enough stability within the project to do so. We have made some investment changes. I'll let Shib touch base on that if you would like to help the overall projection of the future of the token, i.e., with some of our investments. But I will let Shib discuss that because he is the guy that deals with the finances. But one last thing I want to say is we are very, very close to X shares, X vaults, and PUSD being live. We're finally getting to the point where the ecosystem starts coming alive. And the reason why I reference you guys as them quote unquote seed investors, which you're not, but because you had that great APR, you're now sitting in a great place where even if the APR drops, you've got a nice amount of tokens that now you don't want APR, you want price action. And that's what we're going to try and focus on, is getting price action in the right direction so we can build the market cap, build the liquidity of the token, build the overall brand, so then we can then expand and build out a further and larger ecosystem. We don't just want to be a token that sits there and does the generic things. One thing I'd like to clarify, a lot of our ecosystem was pre-planned, a lot of it. The only thing that wasn't pre-planned was the vaults. Although we were speaking about doing vaults, and the vaults were sort of planned, but not this fast. We were hoping to introduce them after X shares, but we then decided to bring it forward and bring them now. What the thing I'll end this on, because Bramble was in effect. One thing I will end this on is this ecosystem is being built to where you don't need to follow one path. And I think a lot of people forget that with some tokens, it's either you do this, this, this. We're not saying, here's a couple of vaults, this is your options. What we are saying is, you've got, here's X shares, here's X lottery, here's farms, here's staking, all from the core. So we're trying to build an ecosystem, and obviously we want people to have as much option as possible. We want people to buy PTX and go, hey, I want to put some PTX in there. I want to use that to upgrade X shares. I want to use that to invest in that. I want to put them in farms. So we want people to have accessibility. We don't want people to just only be able to do one thing, right? We want to expand it and people to be able to use PTX as we have planned. So there is a lot of things to come in, Shib. I know I kind of chucked you in the deep there, but if you do want to discuss some of the investment or financial updates on what we've got planned for that, maybe that would be a nice thing to touch on just to calm some people's minds. One thing I would like to say before I pass it over to Shib is, out of the entirety of the pre-sale funds, we still have around $175,000 in capital. So we haven't sat there and blown through any fear or stables that we have. We're conservatively using them, and that's why when people say when market and when this, we're not just going to sit there and blow these funds when the market changes so quick, and we can adapt to use them in a better term, i.e. building extra things like vaults, which came into play, and expanding the ecosystem, or even a partnership providing liquidity. So Shib, I'll pass the floor to you.
Yeah, so again, if you guys do have any questions along the way, please simply request to speak. Or
I know Nat came up. Sorry, Nat. I really didn't mean to hold you up there. If you do have a question, Nat, sorry, please feel free to unmute.
It's okay. I don't have a question. There's just a question in AMA questions on Discord that popped up at the same time as this AMA. They were asking, will there be any unique benefits for locking for 1 year, maybe an NFT question mark?
Yeah, so at this time, there's none of that built into it. There's already enough incentive for those. If we give away all the NFTs, quite frankly, it dilutes the pool and it reduces the effect of the NFTs quite significantly. So we've already given away quite a few, and even that I don't necessarily love early on, but it'll be okay in the mid to long term. So things like that we do need to keep into consideration. It's not a today game; it's a 6 month, year plus game that we're trying to win on. So if we give away all of our cards and we're playing poker with one card in our hand, we're not going to do well, right? So that's kind of my answer to that there. But I'm going to bring up Clown. Shout out to Clown, by the way, for making the best graphics in the game. What up? And also, welcome to the Ma team once you connect in formally. There we go. How's it going, man? Yep, doing pretty well here. How are you?
All good, all good. Excited for the alpha. I'm glad you finally given out the numbers for the vaults. It means I can release my video now that I've got on YouTube, so that's cool. See what people think about that. I did have one question though about the DEX listing with other partners. I just wondered what the implications of that were. Do we have to provide liquidity, like tokens, BNB, anything like that?
So anything that we do, it'll basically be taking our current LP and moving it over. We're not going to be I'm not giving another team tokens. I'm not giving them, whatever. I'm not paying to get on a DEX. I'll put it that way. So if any of these conversations come up and that's what they want, then it's the end of the conversation for me because that's a no-go. So if we do end up swapping DEXs, we're going to basically do the same thing that we did when we did the contract where our LP is currently on PancakeSwap. We'd pull that, immediately deploy on the new DEX. The charts will look a little weird for a split second, but that's just kind of the nature of the game. And then they'll be back to normal.
Oh, gotcha. So moving from PancakeSwap.
If we do something like that, yes, we'd be moving PancakeSwap to wherever. All right, cool. Do you have any other questions while you're up here, man?
Not really. I'm kind of glad that Bram pointed out that you could put tokens in multiple vaults because I've been preaching that for a little while on Discord. That's probably going to be one of my strategies is to put tokens in a 12-month and then have a shorter vault so you can use those tokens to upgrade your NFTs. When the upgrades become available, just so you've got some that you can unlock at some point.
Yeah, it's kind of the best play in my opinion. So you kind of, mitigate the risk on your own end, but also increase your own liquidity purposes for future stuff. So that's probably the best play for, someone who just wants to invest within the ecosystem itself.
Cool. I'll let you guys carry on.
All right. Hey, appreciate you, man. Now we're bringing up Madiera. Alex, whenever you connect in, you will be live. There you go. Just unmute your mic, bottom left, and you'll be good to go.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can. How are you doing?
Okay, perfect. Good morning, Shib. Good morning, Brand. Good morning, team. Good morning, everyone. I want to follow up on a couple of items that I think were discussed earlier. And I know, Shib, you mentioned there were no additional incentives for the 12-month lockup. But looking at the different timeframes for the lockup, I'm kind of stuck. I want to do the longer term. I think it's the smarter choice. But again, anything long term in crypto is a little scary as far as locking up for a year, for 12 months. Going back to the incentives, I was wondering if at least it could be thought about an incentive that doesn't hurt the protocol as far as it was mentioned, the NFT and all that. But I was thinking the possibility of utilizing some of the rewards for X keys, for instance, or for the lottery without being penalized on the withdrawal, because I'm kind of in the middle. I'm going to be locking up some short term, some midterm, some long term, but my preference would be to do the 12-month. But of course, having that 50% penalty, and I know that after the 32nd day or the 40th day, it kind of balances out. But still, seeing a 50% penalty, having a 12-month lockup, it is scary for an investor in this current bear market. So what I'm trying to say is, having something a little bit more would definitely help the investors. And if that little bit more, it entails keeping the PTX or the rewards or any kind of funding within the ecosystem, I think it would definitely be a great incentive to all to continue to reinvest in X keys or in the lottery without being penalized. That's pretty much the only comment I have.
So just to clarify, sorry, I know you're talking about potential sort of using your stuff in the vault. However, are you talking about as well potentially like airdropping people X keys as such as well who are in them pools as like bonus rewards? I just want to clarify what you mean.
No,
It'd
not
be
a bonus.
it'd be quite.
I'm sorry, Brandon. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. It'd be quite difficult from a logistical point because any basically with a smart contract, right? A withdrawal feature would be a withdrawal feature no matter what, whether you're withdrawing to interact with another contract or you're withdrawing to bring it straight to your wallet. We could speak to the team and see if we can fee exempt the smart contract and add a button for you to be able to. I don't know the guarantees of that, but that would definitely be something we'd have to speak to the devs for. But Shib, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure we can speak to them to see if there's a possibility of being able to use locked vaults in specific aspects. What do you think?
Yeah, so right now the contracts are currently created so that PTX is the token it's interacted with. So for you to, there's no way to like logically remove EPTX from the contract and it not be utilized for, the tax purposes unless there's something I just don't fully understand just yet. But then that being said, there is a little bit ways to go before these X keys are released as well. So maybe we could find out some way to kind of, bypass that. I just don't want to promise that just yet because, quite frankly, I'm not too sure on how that will work. But there are different incentives, right? So obviously, like I mentioned, once a PUSD accumulation goes live, it'll be distributionally proportional to that level of lock. So the 12-month lock, they get more PUSD compared to the 1 week lock, for example. So things like that are kind of how I want to incentivize it, at least in the early term. But if we can do something that won't, hurt the project or kind of throw it off balance, then maybe we'll definitely look into that.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
We had a question here. Can locked vaults be used as collateral in the future? Completely honest with you, there's been no talks of any collateral or anything like that at this current time. We can look into it, but it's not something that's planned. No. Yes, guys, I know a lot of people are commenting on Discord, but if you're in this Twitter space right now, you can actually comment on this Twitter space by using the bottom right hand side, and that will help the algorithm to get people to see our space more. We're more than happy to answer questions in Discord, but just a FYI, if people didn't know, you can do that also, and it will sort of notify people more that we're in a supporter space. I'm just going to have a little through main chat. Yes, so Strange Nose. So Strange Nose is actually one of our most recent whales. So thank you, Strange, for your belief in the team and jumping on board. I know we've had a great couple of conversations in DM. But the really good thing at this current time is, yes, the burning on early withdrawal at this current time is distributed back to holders. But what we want to focus on, right, is getting that emissions as low as possible. So if people do get impatient and withdraw out of these vaults, even if it's only 10%, but if a whale puts, $10,000 worth in a vault and then goes, hey, you know what, I've changed my mind, I want to sell, and then $1,000 has to get taken out, right? So it is good ways. It means people will have to use their brain a bit more, which sometimes in DeFi is a bit difficult, and that's not insulting anyone, but a lot of people are used to buying token, automatically do something, log off, or annoy people in Discord, right? So the ecosystem does get a little bit more complex. However, the entirety of our ecosystem is complex anyway, so it doesn't make much difference. But yeah, a lot of people are saying the 12-month vault. Take this advice from me. Do not put your entirety of your bag in a 12-month vault. That is not why we're doing it. We're putting them in there so people can earn and, basically if you believe long term, then it's basically taken out of circulation, right? However, at this current time, you can essentially just put half, or whatever your risk is. So yeah, in a nutshell, if you're new here, before I bring Clown to ask the question, we've got a couple of updates coming. The vault and the X shares will be coming very, very soon. We're just waiting some finalization. Some of the mods have actually been testing the D app, and the D app is actually starting to look like it's coming together as well. I know from the start it's a bit plain, a bit basic, but now that the certain aspects of the D app is unlocking, we're able to get a sort of nicer overview. And I'm just going to drop some teasers in main chats for people who are scouting in the Discord. But that's sort of, we're still working. It's not the final design, but it'll be a very simple mechanism for you to claim PUSD. You'll also be able to upgrade your NFTs. I'm not going to drop that bit yet because we're still working on that aspect, and you won't be able to upgrade instantly. We are still working on some finalized UI aspects. So that may not be the final outlook. It may change. There's going to be a bit more information regarding each one, and each one will have information about it. But that's just sort of, I wanted to put in the main chat there just so you guys can see how easy it is, and it's not difficult to use, right? I am actually going to drop a sort of teaser. These aren't the finalized votes, but this is essentially how it's going to look in an easy sense, right? So we've got buttons here. So this is just ease of use, right? So essentially you'll select the button and that will be the vault that is there, right? So you can see where it says enhance. So you select either 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 month, select it, deposit, bam. And you see there, you don't have to actually put the entirety in the vault. You can select 1 month, put 10,000 PTX, 3 months, put 1,000 PTX, and each vault will have different stuff, right? We're also going to add sort of information on there to show people how much it's locked and how much for a set time. But please do note that these graphics and the layout may change slightly as time goes on. If you actually haven't noticed, because I know not a lot of people do go into the app, we have made some small visual upgrades. So now you can actually link back to the website on the D app, on the main D app. You've got all the socials on there as well, and you can contact us. And we're also going to add explanations there as well. Now, I just had feedback here from one of our members who DMs. Give me 1 moment. I'd do a larger explanation with time bar rather than the button. Yes, we were going to do that. However, it was very bulkish and it took up the entire screen. We are going to have information on when you click on these pop up and explain what each one does. And obviously you have a little eye there as well, which explains the vaults, the fees, and what they're there for. Like I said, these aren't the finalized designs. It's just everything that we're doing is looking for ease of use, right? So we don't want everything to be extremely difficult. So people can literally just say, okay, how long do I want to lock for, right? So 1 month. That's how much I'm going to get per day, compounded. Bam, click that, deposit, done. And then you don't have to sit there and faff around with going through each vault and looking through and having additional graphics for the sake of additional graphics. It's all there for ease of use. Now, this is just sort of what we're at now. There was a long list of updates that we have. I just thought it'd be nice for you guys to see that it's actually an active development. Bear in mind. But this is also only V1 as well. Sorry, I'm getting messages at the same time. This is also only V1 as well. So if we ever do a V2 of the D app and upgrade it with better UI or have an overview once we've got some more funding, we can most definitely do that, right? So we're actually currently at this current time as well. I know Wox is working hard in the background to get some graphics for the vault, some shilling materials done. Another page for the landing page on the websites that will explain and redirect for X shares. So there is a lot of stuff going on in the background. I just wanted to sort of show you guys that things are in the work. I know it's very easy for a team to say, hey guys, I promise you this is coming, especially when it's been saying for a couple of weeks that it is. The issue with some of these, contracts and X shares and X volts is 9 times out of 10 with our contracts, they're not just generic thought contracts. They all work in specific ways, as in you're not just putting PTX in a vault, right? You're enhancing it, changing it to ePTX. There's emissions, there's this, that, the other fee receivers. There's a lot that goes on just to create even the most basic UI, right? There's a lot of contracts in the background. I think just these vaults is about 8 or 9 contracts, because you have basically 5 pools there. However, you also need 3 extra contracts for PUSD emissions as such, right? I guess this is more of an alpha AMA than our usual quick hitters on Fridays. Yeah, so usually we have smaller AMAs on Fridays. However, we've got updates, so we might as well tell them for you guys. And usually, and probably on Monday, we might even have some more alpha, depending on how the AMAs go today. Sorry, Shib, I've been spilling, but I feel like they deserve to know. I feel like we've had some quiet period. You know, the price went up, the price went down. But I just wanted to say, basically, look, guys, it doesn't matter what the price is doing, how many people complain to us, or how many people are moaning prices down. We're still building, we're still having meetings with other partners, and we're still going full steam. But we have been going for 50 minutes. So, Clown, if you want to ask your question, mate.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, this is a question from Discord, and I think we may have talked about this in Discord chat before, but I just thought we could clarify it. So how often will the PUSD rewards be paid out for the X shares? I think we said weekly, and then Shib, you might have mentioned that in the first couple of weeks it might be daily. I just wondered if you could touch on that.
Yeah, so my goal here is to get it daily, right? So a lot of that's going to be, just kind of the tokenomics that I laid out, where X percentage goes back in directly to the rewards, X percentage is compounded, all that stuff there. So for the first maybe 2 to 4 weeks, it might be good for us to build a little bit of a pool and do it bi-weekly. So that'll be 1 to 2 cycles of bi-weekly, or we can do it daily, and it'll just be a kind of a smaller thing daily. It doesn't really matter, but in the sense of trading, it kind of does in a weird way, where I'm not going to be using that extra as leverage, but it's still it's more of a buffer point, right? So ideally, though, we are going to do it daily, where I'm just sending those proceeds into this daily, and then it allows everyone to claim it right from the dApp, and then that's it. They can just do that whenever they want. But maybe for the first 1 to 2 cycles, it'll be bi-weekly at worst. That'll be absolute longest that I'll do it there before we start putting funds into there. I think daily is going to be reasonable. I just don't want to let's say we release them at 2 a.m. my time, and then everyone's like, where's my rewards? Where are they at? In 2 hours? Then I don't feel like dealing with that, to be honest. So let's give it a little bit of a buffer, let it get its momentum, its system, and then it's pretty good to go from there.
And as you said, Chip,
I think people are just hyped for the first lot of rewards.
100%. And what the good thing would be as well is that, as Chip said, is getting that buffer, right? If we get that, if we do have a really good week and make a bunch of money, we're obviously not just going to instantly distribute that. That'd be silly. What we need to do is distribute a good amount and then build up the coffer so we can continue to make more funds, to grow them, to give them more value, right? And if we have that little buffer, then we're able to go, hey guys, these rewards are still paying out consistently, and not just completely, okay guys, here's your money back. Here we go. Now we've got no more money to make money, right? So that little buffer period really does help as well, so people can make money, and we can build them coffers to make more money and grow the funds, right? We do have a couple of questions on Twitter, so thank you guys for actually using it. One of the questions was from Alex. Thank you for your question, Alex. Is it possible to place a dApp buy PTX button rather than to have to go back to the website? Yes, we're actually talking to Mark, who's part of the dApp team now, to sort of add something to buy PTX, to buy PUSD on the dApp. Maybe it won't be a crazy eccentric swap, but we are looking to add something onto the dApp for ease of use, so people can just go on there, buy PUSD or buy PTX, and go from there, right? And also we need to have a page for converting to X keys anyways, or burning for X keys. So maybe we can all integrate that into one page, which would be nice. But yes, that's definitely in the works. Let me read through, see if there's any more questions. I feel like this is, it's actually been a really, really good AMA today. more of a better AMA than our Alpha Mondays. The reason why we're having a good AMA today and a bit more alpha filled is because I do feel like we're going to have a busy week coming up as well. One, we're probably going to have a couple partnership AMAs. Probably going to have our regular AMA on Monday, which should have some more alpha in it, depending on the partnerships we find. And also growing the token route with X shares release and X vaults. But if no one has any more questions, Shib, I'll pass it over to you to wrap up for the day, because we do have a meeting in 5 minutes.
Yep. So hey, definitely appreciate you guys joining in here. This has been, like Brandon said, probably our best Twitter Spaces AMA yet. I will get the recording up sometime today. It takes a little bit to download, but no worries there. So I just want to say thank you for joining us again on this Friday, low-key Alpha Friday Twitter Spaces AMA that we just had go on here. Definitely appreciate you guys in here. Thank you for the questions. Thank you, Brand, for co-hosting. And thank you, Nat and Clown, for being up here, and everyone who asked questions as well. We will catch you guys in the chat throughout the week, but be sure to join the Discord AMA on Monday as well, 8 p.m. UTC. So see you all there, and peace out, fam.